The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties. Welcome to This is Sparta on this special holiday edition here in the Graduate Hotel in East Lansing. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, along with my co-host, Otis Wiley. Today is December 15th, a big day. Commitments happening, a lot of stuff going on. But we would be remiss if we did not mention the loss of Mike Leach, one head coach, Mike Leach from Mississippi State University, who was a trailblazer, a very intelligent guy, funny man. Didn't have the pleasure of meeting him myself. Otis, what can you say about Mike?
Yeah, Coach Leach, man, you think about when Michigan State played in the Alamo Bowl against Texas Tech, and, he was the head coach. And, in that stint, he had something that, transpired where he was under investigation. But, that doesn't go, remiss what he did and the impact he had on programs that he was the head coach for. And also, just from a standpoint of a coach who, played rugby?
Yeah.
Or lacrosse. It was a rugby lacrosse. It was one of those two.
He did a lot of different things.
And so, he didn't even play the game of football, but he was a mastermind offensive guy. You credit the spread and the gun and the lethal no huddle offense that kind of came from that Texas Tech air raider, like the Red Raiders, that air raid that he had with Michael Crabtree. And, you think about those guys he had. And then with Mississippi State's program, condolences out to that community, his family, his friends, staff, coaches, and players that really, really love Coach Leach, man. And, from every coach has their advantages, disadvantages, they're good, they're bad, whatever. But, these guys have been leaders of men. Yeah. And so I do have one good story where, Coach D didn't really go into detail when, we played when they were at Washington State.
Yeah,
coach.
That's right.
We were playing them in the bowl game. And
the Holiday Bowl.
Holiday Bowl. And Coach D comes up to me and we're talking. And I brought up Mike Leach because when I was working at a previous employer, we went out to New York for the National Football Foundation dinner. All the coaches go out there, the College Football Hall of Fame, and Mike Leach is there in the bar and a bunch of all the other coaches. And, he was holding court. And, all the people were just laughing around him because, the guy is legitimately, a natural of, comedian. More, quirky, smart, but, you never know what's coming out of his mouth.
Right.
And I remember Coach D coming and saying, hey, have you ever talked to Coach Leach? Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, I had a quick passing. He was like, he kind of did this gesture he did he was like we started out talking about the matchup, and all of a sudden we went to the left field, and Coach D's like, yeah, he went on another world, another spectrum, another layer mentally. But kudos to Coach Leach and what he did and his legacy that he did for college football, but football in general. And that's one that we lost, one of the greats in the college football.
Without question. I mean, you talk about what Coach D said, and Coach Saban was a guy who talked about him and issued a statement. He said, it was a man who I never really knew the direction of our conversations when we had our conversation, but a guy that will be missed nonetheless. Definitely a leader of men, a great man, a legendary interview. Just had one coming off the field. I believe it was an ESPN reporter. And he was coming off, and she asked him about her wedding. And he goes into depth about what she should do about the wedding. You should just elope, because you're going to save mom and dad a lot of money. And this is what coming off the field after a game.
Weddings. I'm in the middle of planning one right now. Do you have any advice for me?
Who are you marrying?
His name is Trevor.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll have to set up a meeting and I'll talk to him. Okay, so where's Trevor from?
He's from Florida.
What does Trevor do for a living?
He works in sports as well, covers football.
He does what?
He covers football as well.
Really? Well, I don't know. We'll keep a close eye on it, but whatever you and Trevor decide, I would kind of keep it on the down low, which you failed to do that. Trevor was probably planning to, but you didn't. So go ahead and don't say anything else about it, but as soon as the season's over, or even an off week, go elope. Trust me on that. Go elope. because basically every female in the family is going to terrorize you guys until it's over. Once it's over, I mean, they'll be upset for a few days, but it'll be over. And then, you know, you cruise away, along, have a happy marriage, have a happy life.
I'll pass along the message. Thanks, Coach. Congrats on the win.
Trevor, unless he's crazy, is totally on my side. And trust me on this. If Trevor doesn't have the sense to do that, tell him to call me, because, I mean, he needs to do trust. I've told all my kids, I'll give you $10,000 extra if you elope. So far, they haven't done it, but I would, too.
I'll have him call you for sure.
He will be sorely missed, and prayers go out to the Mississippi State community and the Leach family for the loss of Mike Leach at 61 years old. Before we switch over to our next segment to talk about our recruiting news from Michigan State, this message from our friends over at IHOP.
'Twas a wintry day, and at IHOP quite soon, hot cinnamon apples would be coaxed with a spoon on the fluffiest French toast with red currants on top. We wish you a happy holiday, only at IHOP. New Ginger Snap Apple French Toast, part of our new holiday menu. Try all 3 flavors.
If you're watching us live right now, thank you for doing that. Make sure you click the thumbs up like button and also subscribe. And if you want to follow us on social medias, please do so. You're going to get great information there. And listen to this message. Click on the link in the bio anywhere: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, even TikTok. Go to that link tree and you can find us where we can get tickets in hand. I know it's hot now for the basketball season. Everybody wants to be inside and stay out of that cold weather and get in that Breslin. Follow us and we'll get those tickets to you. All right, now let's get into some recruiting news from Michigan State, the news that everybody wants to hear about, the inside information. And Otis just got a big commit from Isaiah Johnson, athlete from Virginia.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting on, you know, ATH. When you see the athlete, the designation on that, you kind of guess, like, okay, what do we have as a roster and management? Like, what are our holes? What do we need to fill? What do we need an immediate impact? And, you know, we have our seniors in the back end of the defensive secondary that obviously are graduating and going to the pros. And also we have some holes in the wide receiver standpoint, leading our main man, Jaden Reed. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fits into what we need and want in the green and white. But it's interesting that we finally got, you know, a new commit that, you know, we've had some guys bow out of our class coming up. So it's good that we're at least adding one notch to the class.
Starting to build a little depth there in the
depth.
recruiting class.
Absolutely.
And it seems to be a heavy focus on getting speed on this roster.
Speed kills.
Yeah, it does kill.
kills.
You can't teach it, really.
Can't teach it. But you can teach technique and get that buttoned up. But speed is like, that's a natural thing, man. And and the only thing that gets better is when you get to campus or you get to our program, Dr. Guess is going to get us right and get them faster and stronger, which is going to be a great thing to look forward to.
Michigan State is going after the #1 JUCO transfer that's in the portal right now, Keyshawn Blackstock, 6'5", 280-pounder that's in the portal, that just coming out of the junior college out of Covington, Georgia.
Yeah, Stray, it's an opportunity to get some bigums in there, right? You know, you are a guy who played the offensive line in main interior, the center position, and so inside you gave him some pounds on there, 285. He's actually 6'5", 315.
Oh yeah.
So he got a little bit more girth to him, man. But let's hope he can run and can take that weight with speed. But we definitely need another guy, and they are very high on Keyshawn Blackstock, and it sounds like a good prize name to be yelled out in Spartan Stadium.
Blackstock. When you think about he's an interior. I don't know what's a 280. I'm thinking about another player, defensive lineman. 315 is more like it. And he's the #1 interior offensive lineman, but he projects more as a right tackle with Coach Cap. That's what he thinks that he can play on that outside, and that's a guy who can protect Peyton Thorne on his front side, not necessarily the blind side, but a guy who's athletic and big enough to be able to get it done. A 4-star product out of Georgia, which has a ton of talent down there.
Yeah, and I mean, if you know anything about playing with anybody that comes from the JUCO ranks, mainly these guys are, one, started out in probably a Power 5 program. Something may have happened or transpired. They was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to junior college. I'm going to get some more experience or get more opportunity to get bigger schools to come look at me. And then you think about these guys come ready, built, tough, can endure a season, but also come with experience where it's not necessarily like a freshman coming out of high school where you have an opportunity to truly say, hey, he has great skill set, gets on the field, we'll add what we have to do with our DNA and offensively mindset, and we'll see how he does.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that, the old JUCO way was the old transfer portal of the past. Now, with the portal, you get JUCO kids and guys coming from other Power 5 conferences and even Division IIs and beyond that are going to elevate to the Power 5. And Michigan State's doing a very good job of looking for those diamonds in the rough for talent in different positions of need. And obviously we know offensive line is a huge position of need, and also transitioning over to the tight end position where Michigan State has landed a transfer from the University of Wisconsin, Jalen Franklin, a guy who's a native of Michigan down in Brownstown and is now back home at Michigan State.
Yeah, Jason, I think the writing's on the wall. Our strength is our tight ends. If you see the amount of movement that we've had in the past, we've had a movement in the tight end position. And if you can tell, that is a focal point on if we have strong tight ends who are versatile, they're not just one-dimensional, multi-dimensional, that opens up the passing game. But also we need guys to be able to block on the edge. And these defensive ends now, back in the day, you had some guys coming off the edge that were, still like great, but these DNs coming off the edge now, I mean, they're as fast as linebackers or even faster.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them can even play probably outside linebacker DB, how quick these guys are coming off the edge. And so you need a tight end to be able to chip, but also get out into their route and break off, defensive backs who are trying to cover them. So one thing about tight end, in Jalen Franklin, he's a guy who the coaching staff is familiar with, with Ted Gilmore and then Saeed Khalif coming from Wisconsin. They know this guy. They recruited him. They know that what he is capable of, his skill set can fit well with what we're trying to do in the Jay Johnson offense.
Right. That's incredible. I think the familiarity with this player, having recruited him before, he didn't have a lot of production at Wisconsin, but they feel like he is a great fit for the Michigan State program. Jay Johnson being able to call plays to get him involved in the scheme offensively, and that's going to be a huge get. So that is something in a positive light for Michigan State when you look at the transfer portal. On the transfer side of things also, when you look at Michigan State losing a player, linebacker Carson Castile goes into the portal. He's a freshman, did not see much playing time at all at Michigan State, but now has entered the transfer portal.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity like we talked about. There's going to be a lot of movement. So, one, I say we're not surprised that we're getting, the news and the opportunities for, young kids that, it just didn't pan out. You thought it probably was something different hitting the field. So now is looking for opportunities in the future and just hopefully praying that he lands somewhere that he's able to be utilized to his capabilities.
Yeah, that's the name of the game now in the portal. There are some players that are going to be leaving for greener pastures. Others are going to be looking for playing time because they're just not going to be seeing much playing time at the position or the current school that they're at. I think that's a situation that Carson Castile is dealing with for Michigan State. So good luck, best of luck to him as he continues to find a place to get playing time in his career. Going on to other major targets for Michigan State. You look at from the high school ranks, two best friends from the West Coast in Jalen Barbarin and also Sean Brown. Sean Brown is a guy who's actually committed right now to the University of Arizona. And then you have his friend who's in high school, both guys out, like I said, in California. Now, Jalen is a guy who's a 10-3 100-meter guy, extremely fast, Otis, when you talk about his ability to stretch the field and be that receiver and that deep threat?
Yeah, straight down line speed, north-south, baby. That's what we need. Stick and move, straight down, north-south. You got some speed to go sideways, but it's straight downhill. And, we saw some of that lack of this season from our running backs committee is that they were trying to go sideways first. Let's go north-south and then hit the move to the outside zone or try to make a move and get to the end zone. But we didn't have the big home run touchdowns like we did with our guy K9. And so this is a guy that has that kind of body type.
Mm-hmm.
Now everyone's looking for the next K9. And so he's similar built from a standpoint and when he gets here, we're going to put some weight on him, but not more so put weight on him from a, weight, but we're talking about muscle, the clean weight that we need. And so 10-3 is fast in high school.
It's super fast.
It's super fast. And so, Cali got that heat all the time. So it's not like running that in the cold Michigan North here. But you got two friends that are trying to not lobby, but come with a package.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both some athletes. They're both athletes. And so usually you may have a package deal where, my friend he's good,
mm-hmm.
but he's not great. And I'm the one that, hey, I want to help my brother and my friend out. But these two guys are high on our board. And, a defensive back who's 6'3", 195.
I mean,
you're a tweener. I came in at 6'3", 180. And, I could, if I put weight on, I can be outside linebacker or I'm a safety, right? And so he's speedy guy too, 3-star DB. But like I said, the stars are just a weird type of thing.
mm-hmm.
I believe it when it's 5 and you see the film and you see them go against top talent. But 3-star, that tweener, I think
sometimes the 3-stars could be liars. They could be better, much better than that.
Way better, man, way better. So we'll be seeing those hopefully recent news that these guys are able to fully come this way to the green and white.
Yeah, you talk about Jalen Barbera, a guy who has had those thick thighs that you look for in running backs. Low to the ground, 5'9", 190 pounds, but extremely fast and low to the ground. A guy who could take hits, has a low center of gravity, be able to get through the tackles, run through smoke, as they call it, and then be able to, as you said, get north and south in a hurry, because you cannot teach 10-3, 100-meter speed. I don't care who you are. So you got it. You're blessed with it. And here's hoping to those two who were just here last weekend on an official visit, and they loved what they saw in East Lansing. So I know the coaches right now are on the recruiting trail trying to close up some of these deals, because in less than a week, guys, signing day happens. So stay tuned. Looking at more news when you talk about the transfer portal. Terry Roberts out of the University of Iowa, a cornerback from Cathedral Prep School that Damian Terry, the guy who was a Michigan State quarterback, went to.
Yeah, and then you look at, Cathedral Prep has put out some guys all the time. And so when you look at the opportunity for a kid who has played in the Big Ten, he knows what to expect when you're playing against Big Ten opponents. And so coming over here is just a guy who's gritty, man. You got the Pennsylvania swag from Cathedral Prep, but, it's good for him to come in and at least give us a shot and take a look at what we need when we're losing one of our guys, Amir Speed, to graduation. We're young now in the secondary. So coming from a guy who Iowa is all about hardcore, tough, nitty-gritty defense, he will be able to come in if he makes that decision to be a immediate impact guy, because the guy can cover, he can hit, and that's what we need. And so interesting to see what he comes about in the recent week.
Yeah, definitely high on defensive back coach Harlan Barnett's radar, a guy that he can bring in, plug and play right away. As we know, as you said, the Iowa defense is known around the country as a very tough, hard-nosed defense, and they pump out cornerbacks. If you think about it, they do put a lot of defensive backs into the NFL. So he would be another guy that could come into Michigan State and do the same thing in the green and white. Now, staying with the defensive side of the ball, you want to look at a defensive lineman out of the University of Liberty. Liberty. You say, what?
Yeah.
D-line. Now, this guy, Dre Butler, he's 6'5", and he's 280 pounds. This is the guy that was on my mind earlier. 6'5", 280 pound defensive tackle, a former 4-star athlete, is at Liberty, started off at the JUCO route, I believe, and at the Independence Community College at the Last Chance U, if you can recall that particular university. It's at Liberty and now on the radar for Michigan State, a guy that would be huge for the Spartans.
Absolutely. Like, if you ever seen Last Chance U, I'm sure, because it's taken the world by storm, and especially around that COVID time and pre-COVID, you see what they're dealing with when they go to a JUCO and the resources that are there and that are in comparison to when they come back to the Power 5 or Division I level. It kind of resets you and your values, kind of humbles you, because you got to go back to the daily grind of getting film and being productive so that you can get out of there and come and get a full 4-year degree. So this guy, Dre Butler, 6'5", 280, looks like he is, we talked about muscle on muscle with Keon Coleman. Shout out to Jehuu out there right now at home. We're doing some work right now, but
he's on assignment.
He's on assignment. Yes, he's on assignment. But this is a guy that will be able to come in and truly give us some more speed and more physicality on that edge. And we lost some guys in the transfer from grad transfers, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
I know they got all their eggs in that basket too.
Yeah,
so
got to get some D linemen. Got to get those big boys in the hand in the dirt.
Absolutely.
Coming off the ball. And I know that they all want to
Coach Jordan.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, they got the biggest draw in the country in Coach Jordan. We talked about recruit from Texas A&M last week. There's a lot of talent that is swirling around East Lansing looking to make the decision. And we're going to bring that news to you as soon as that happens. Speaking of Jehuu Caulcrick, who's on assignment right now, we wanted to bring up something for him he always is talking really negatively about the kickers, right? And, we're going to bring up this statement right here from one Tyreek Hill, who says very similar statement that Jehuu says. He said the reason the kickers are no damn good is because they only practice for like 5 minutes and then go play ping pong. So Jehu's point, he might be onto something.
He may be onto something. He witnessed personally like what they do on a day-to-day basis. But I mean, when you have to go kick, man, like I just think about that bowl eligible game, IU, and like, we could be bowling right now. But I'm not putting that pressure on just one guy, because clearly the game should have been won in different other aspects of the game. But to seal the deal, you got to have trust and confidence in the kicker and that leg. And so, all
the way through.
All the way
kicker,
through.
The snapper and the holder.
Yeah.
All of them. You're losing Behringer, who was the holder from Michigan State. And then obviously had some issues with injuries with the long snapper. And I'm hearing rumblings. I think they've offered a long snapper from Rutgers. So there's activity going on right now. And kudos to what's going on from Michigan State and Mel Tucker right now, being on the road. If you look at his flight plan, it's ridiculous. He's all over the country, literally zigzagging all over the nation, making those last home visits. Those in-home visits are very important as a sales job, if you will, and showing that you do care, that you do love these recruits. It means a lot. Do you remember your home visit from Coach Antonio? Oh, no, it was John L.
John L., yeah. I remember John L. came incognito, but you could tell when he's in the building because he got cowboy boots in Flint, Michigan. It's very rare. It's very rare.
It's very rare that
especially
cowboy boots are rolling around the streets of Flint. Okay,
definitely. So especially this is in basketball season, so we're playing one of our rivals in Grand Blanc and on the court, and I don't recall. I think we won that game, but he was up in the stands and it was crazy because it was the same type of timing where Ron Zook had got let go from Florida. And I talked about this, and Ron Zook's back in my house sitting on the couch. And my mom's cooking some dinner, and, he's like, hey, I'm going to turn this program around. And I'm going to go to the Rose Bowl. He's like, I need you to join us. So are you going to come visit? And I was very conflicted. But I got a call immediately. Like, there was I don't know if there was a speaker or camera hidden somewhere in my house. But I got an immediate call from Coach John L. like, why you want to do that? Why you want to do that? Little Birdie told me. So you start getting aggressiveness. So, I remember being at Wendy's, getting ready for a basketball game. And then, one of our local guys is like, hey, Ohio State's high on you, or USC's about to call. It was like the last time similar to this time frame of, we need to figure out. Some of our guys flipped. They said they were here for the entire 80% of the recruiting process, but then flipped between the 20% mark or the midnight hour. And so, once you get those last requests, you're like, well, I'm backup plan. So, you kind of think about it. It's like, well, I'm gonna go where they've been after me. They've been wanting me. They are pushing me to be, one of the guys to help change things around. And so it was a no-brainer. I could have went back down to be down to Hook'em Horns in Texas. And I was born in Austin. I grew up a Hook'em Horns fan, and that would have been a dream, but also you got the Flint connection, right?
Yeah, the Flintstones.
So, I remember Matt Trannon, Greg Cooper, Clifton Ryan from Saginaw. Those guys took care of me, man, when I came in and during my recruiting process. But I do remember Matt Trannon saying, listen, man, if you do anything else, if you ball out here, you'll be a king in the state of Michigan. And that kind of rings true, man, where you just ball out and you play the game the right way. People know you. They'll know your name for your legacy. So I don't regret any of the decision. I would have loved to play in the Rose Bowl, but I'll be a Illini. I don't, no knock to it, but I look better in green.
No question about that. You think about your recruiting process, and other schools like you said, like University of Texas and Austin, having the same career there. What would it be now for you? Or if you're at Ohio State, you get washed out with all the names and all the players over there. There's so many. I know guys that were 3rd and 4th round draft picks that don't even people don't know who they are at Ohio State. You do that here, people know who you are.
And I didn't even have a luxurious or pro career, right? And so I enjoyed the college aspect in that age there for me. So I was just a decent defensive back. I wasn't even outstanding. Did you have social media issues when you were coming out of high school, or was that kind of nah?
It's still MySpace, or what? Where were you at?
MySpace. I think it was Black Planet. No,
that's a different kind of site.
Rivals was just kind of it was there, but it was
new.
It was new, but I feel like my era, even yours, yes, you got the notoriety through word of mouth and hey, I got to go see this kid. I need to go versus the social media hype films. And I feel like we're in that age, yes, social media, and you can put your highlight out there. It shows you are a great player, but I feel like we wasn't really about the stars piece of it. It was I want to be able to dominate my lane, dominate where I'm at. And when you're a great player, they come to you, right? They come to you. So people kind of failed to realize that, you put in the work. What Joe Burrow says, all these highlights, just do the work. Do the work. You ain't got to capture you working out. And I think that was the mentality of man, I was a 3-sport athlete. I'm trying to ball out and I'm trying to be successful on every competitive space that I was on, track. And so I wasn't really worried about it. I had a lot of guys come out of Flint that were as better, way better than me. And so we was just, like I said, just trying to get to the next level and get a degree, get a full ride, so my parents didn't have to pay for nothing, right? That was
the basic
the basic priority goals of I just want my parents to have to pay for it.
Right, exactly. And when you think about those times versus now, it seems like now, if it's not on Instagram, then it didn't happen. So people are it's a
the FOMO, it's a fear of missing out.
Yeah. And I think that there are coaches and recruiters who are doing the same thing. They're guilty of that now. You're seeing recruiting coordinators, assistants that are recruiting through what's going on and who's hot, what the stars are, what the highlight videos show versus doing the actual work, which is something that I'm happy that Michigan State is doing now, with Coach Tucker and his staff. They're doing the work and finding these diamonds in the rough. That's not easy to do. It's easy to look at the 5 stars and say, let's go after those guys because they've done all the marketing themselves, their own branding, so to speak. But to go after these guys who are the 6'3", 195-pound transfer out of Arizona, and you're looking at his film and seeing where he could fit, and his friend happens to be a 10, 300-meter. That's difficult. That's a harder route to go than your status quo.
Absolutely.
And social media has completely changed the game.
Yeah.
You got NIL. How would you like to be a coach right now?
I would not want to be a coach.
Oh,
I mean,
holidays are ruined, huh?
Right.
Ain't no holiday season.
Yeah, ain't no regular like, hey, a little gift here, like I feel like recruits don't care about those written cards no more, man. I used to love like, oh, I got a handwritten card. Let me go ahead and store all this in my shoebox and all the letters and like all that's like thrown out the window now. It's like, hey, where's the check? Where's the check? Man. Be like, let's talk money. Let's talk money first, which this is the business now. So like you have to now be very business acumen. Your acumen has to be at the very least subpar and even more. Like you got to have people that are in your camp that you trust and aren't trying to not nickel and dime or like put you in situations where you're the one have to go out there and do the work. Like, I know not to any parents, but like you still got to go and do the work.
Absolutely.
And so the expectations coming in is more pressure. It's more pressure to perform and be a success versus like, you got to understand this is going to be a grind. I get it. You're 5-star. It's still going to be a grind.
Oh.
And so I think that's the point of like, as coaches, you're competing with other coaches who may have bigger, more resources. And so how do you get strategic? How do you become attractive? It's like, it's all about the development. It's all about figuring out, okay, what we offer from a school compared to the school down the road or another school like the Miamis and Alabamas. It's like, one, they're winning championships. They're putting in the league. So like we're putting guys in the league, but they're consistently time and time every year. They're not taking drops down.
That's right. I mean, that's interesting. You brought up Alabama and Miami, right?
Yeah.
I think those are two. That's the dichotomy of the culture right now. You have Alabama, who is a brand. Everybody knows Alabama that's 12 years old to 100. They understand what Alabama is about. In that range. They do. But for like Miami football, if you're under 30, 35-ish, you really don't know Miami to be that good. You know that the place is fun.
Back in the day.
Yeah, they don't remember. They don't
true.
remember the U. They don't remember Ray Lewis and Vinny
Irvin,
Testaverde, Michael Irvin. They don't remember Jimmy Johnson, and they definitely don't remember Howard Schnellenberger. For those out, does anybody know who Howard Schnellenberger is? Right? We can ask 1,000 recruits. I guarantee you, not one is going to come back with, "Oh yeah, the guy that smoked the pipe." That's not going to happen. So
Dwayne Rock Johnson,
so look at how each of those schools are recruiting. Alabama is not throwing bags at people. They're throwing the brand at people. They're saying, you come here and you step on the field and play, the money's going to follow.
And that was Coach D's philosophy. Like, and I'm sure that he probably we need to bring him on, obviously, but I'm sure he can attest to like what he had to deal with. Where like,
Coach D, you're coming.
Yep, you're coming, Coach D. Before NIL, it was like, all right, it was facilities. It was let's shop this dream of, all right, here's what we're going to get. So come here and you're going to get it in 2 or 3 years and be the first to, we talk about competitive landscape in college sports is, what it's kind of not say tit for tat, but it's keeping up with the Joneses.
It's an arms race.
It's an arms race. And it's like, okay, what do you have on your campus that can get me to the next level? And so like
Coach D talked about that.
Yeah.
He said that he thought that one of his biggest regrets was after winning the Rose Bowl was not going all in on facilities like Clemson did. Clemson at that same time, they went in and has this massive facility at Clemson now, and that brought in the recruits. It really did, and people didn't think of that. I can remember those days, that era. You're talking about mid 2010s, like 12 through 2015. It wasn't known, this arms race idea.
Yeah.
It was pretty new.
Definitely.
But
I mean, Mel Tucker, Coach Tucker, talks about it when he talks publicly on what Coach D before he, left in the transition meetings was like, if you're going to be successful here and win here, you got to get facilities.
Yeah.
And you talked about that was his biggest regret. And as you see now, we're putting up right now is the Tom Izzo Football Performance Center. And, you know, I opened up the Scandalaris building in 2008.
Yeah, remember that?
And I was like, oh, this is nice, man. This is great. But the opportunity to truly get into this, knowing that it'll be ready, and we're putting all the resources in there to make sure our student athletes have the best. It's something that should be attractive to student athletes that are coming here. So
yeah, and once that building's up, we're going to take everybody on a tour, a brand new, fresh tour of that building once it's ready for public consumption. It's going to be coming pretty soon. But that's going to wrap up our holiday edition of This is Sparta. For Otis Wiley, I'm Jason Strayhorn. Have a good night. God bless, and go green.
go white.